Hey, I'm Grant. This is going to be test episode 2 for Digression Bar. I already fucked it up. So, I'm Grant.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Jamie.
So, Jamie, you are I don't know, are you a guest? You're the first non-person to not be on the last episode. I don't know. You're on half the episodes now, so.
Well, I've been with you for a while, like, with other videos. I just have not on screen or...
What videos have you been in on the channel?
I was with you when you streamed.
I guess you were in the Dark Souls one. That was a huge one.
The Dark Souls one.
Brotherhood of the Buzzed. Like, we did that in Lincoln. It was great.
After you been in the chop till you drop?
No. That's only been me.
When you played Borderlands, I was in one, I think, but I could be wrong.
I don't think I ever kept that up. But you might have been for one or two. I know that there's a bunch of stuff I have done, but basically I have this window of stuff I make. And as I get better and better at the top, I start removing stuff from the bottom because it's terrible, and I've just made better stuff. Like the first video I ever made was with Ellie. We played Halo Wars 1, and it's atrocious. I still have it set to private just for posterity. But yeah, I don't want someone to go on my channel and be like, man, this is great. Let's go to his first video. Let's watch from the beginning, and then you see that, and this is terrible. So
I feel like that's the way with most channels. I mean, if you go back and look at Red versus Blue. Their quality in the beginning there was kind of terrible. The audio was bad.
But I feel like that's a product of its time. And that's one, there's a couple of reasons for why it's bad. They actually there's a story about why they made it worse, which we can talk about after, because I don't want to be too focused on that.
Okay.
But that's a product of time, whereas, obviously it's good now. But I think normally the way a lot of channels do that is you just hide the early stuff. So, if you look how it is on my channel, this stuff, the goal is I'm going to put 5 to 10 episodes of this out, and they're just going to be basically season 0 in their own little corner. And then once we kind of know what we're doing, then the real episode 1 comes out. So this is still out there if people want to see it. I don't know what camera to look to now. But it's not going to be people go to the first one. It's the logo's all different than what it ended up being, and who's that Cole guy? I'm on episode 150, and he was only on the first one. Who is that guy? It just so happened or something. One person never showed up again. Yeah, so you guys both watched the previous one. You were on it. What do you think? How do you think it went? Before we go mention that, I got mic stands. I ordered, I want to say literally the day of the last podcast, but, even this one, so far, every time we've done this, it's oh, we're going to play D&D. Oh, wait, it's getting canceled. I guess we could try doing it, tonight in 2 hours.
Do it live.
Yeah, I got these mic stands. This helps a lot because, one, we have a coffee table in the middle, and it used to be that everyone had their mics on that. So everyone was really far away, and it didn't help that way the AC going. We couldn't turn that off. And then anytime anyone put a mic, a drink down on the coffee table, because despite the AC being on the whole time, it was really hot, it would, bang all the mics. It wasn't terrible. Both you and Cole were really good about being, gentle. I was able to cut it out, but it is just a solved problem now, and I like that. So, yeah, what do you guys think of the first episode? Any comments? We just can't wait for the next 5 years of it. It's going to be the only thing you listen to.
I thought it was pretty good.
And they talk about this on Retreat podcast sometimes, where they'll go back and listen to something, something I was going to say after hearing someone say that, and then they say that their past self says it exactly. It's oh wait. That's crazy.
Listening to it back, there's a lot of stuff oh man, that's right. I was going to say this thing, but then we got off topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just go through the same motion, so it's kind of weird seeing that. So, or I know for me, one of the things I try to do is that's a hard skill to pick up is I can fix all the technical issues, but actually being a host and running it, that's very hard. And I'm torn because on one hand, I kind of host it. On the other hand, I also edit it. And as an editor, these long periods of one person talking, that's great because I don't have to do anything. On the other hand, when everyone talks back and forth, that's a lot of work, but then I can actually change it. So there's actually some stuff, I don't know if you noticed, where we're actually way more responsive than we were, because it might be something oh yeah, that's that one movie,
You're
and then
the dead air.
Yeah, 20 seconds later someone answers. Well, if you switch back and forth a lot, I can just cut that out. Because it's so obvious when you cut someone out, in the middle of their own conversation. But if someone else starts talking, I can totally do that. So I'm torn. I don't want to have 10 hours worth of work, but I also don't want it to be just one person monologuing with long dead air in between. So that's been fun to experience. And I just did a very basic pass to the first one. So I'll probably do a little bit better one with this time around. But I think it came out pretty well. Like, I don't know if you remember, like, back when we filmed Diversion, which is, like, the very
I was
first...
there for that.
Yeah, the very first instance of essentially this same setup, and that was terrible. We had, like, a phone on a tripod. We had my, like, 480p laptop camera, and then I think we had my webcam. And the webcam is the only thing that could get everyone somewhat decently. Like, the phone turned off. The laptop couldn't focus.
I think we used my laptop too.
Oh yeah, I think we did. And maybe yours is the other good video feed because mine was terrible. And you had just gotten your new laptop.
I had some footage on my phone that was pretty good, and I had it on my phone for a while, but...
Well, that was when we were doing the pancake thing.
Oh, yeah.
But I just knew we had actually set your thing up on a tripod, like trying to hold it, and it's just like, we know it's going to turn off eventually. I hope we get most of it.
I thought I was the one that was moving around and was kind of like within the action.
Well, I'm talking about when we were sitting down at the table in the basement.
Oh.
So that's like the very first instance where we had like 3 mics, cameras, and all that. And that was like the start of it, of all this. And it's come a long way. Like when we first sat down and did that, it's like, this is terrible. Like even like D&D, we filmed a bunch of D&D. And ultimately, I didn't ever put that out. Like I think I still have one test episode out if you have the link to it. But what it was great is every episode, something went wrong. Something like drastically went wrong. And I...
In editing wise, you mean?
In filming it. Okay. Like in the actual technical side of filming it. Just small stuff like, oh, I didn't have all the cameras set to the same format. So no matter what, they would just be out of sync. Or I think I originally recorded it, like I said, with the interface, which is basically a thing that takes three inputs and puts them on my computer. Which is great, but that meant all the videos were out of sync with each other. And it was a whole huge pain. And I wasn't as good at editing as I am now. Like now I know way more shortcuts, so it's not a big deal. Basically, I went from, say... editing takes like 5 to 6 times as long as the source material. Now it's like 4 times. So an hour of D&D would take like 6 hours to edit. Now it's down to like 4. So that's a pretty big deal. It is, but it's not too bad. Like a lot of times, I know if I were to edit audio, I don't even like listen to it as much anymore because it's really obvious when someone's coughing or hits the mic. Just the waveform looks way different. So I'll totally just like go play Gears of War and then just anytime I die, just turn over and start editing that. And you just kind of like over the course of a week, you get like a little bit of extra stuff done. But yeah, that's me talking about stuff. So
it is.
We prepared subjects this time. So Jamie, tell me about Stormy Customers.
Well, I had to work the first stream.
You should explain where you work and all that too.
Well, I work in a grocery store.
We all worked in the same grocery store.
So I was working when you guys were doing the first episode of this, and it was a really stormy night. And it was one of the very first ones where we had to go into lockdown because of a tornado warning.
We never got that. Like we didn't hear any sirens
really?
or anything.
Well,
yeah.
I only knew because I was in the kitchen, and so the managers were yelling, basically, we need to start going into the coolers, you know, like a code yellow. And a customer came up to the case and was like, hey, so your managers are yelling something about a tornado warning, but I want a chicken strip dinner for here. And next thing I know, overhead they're saying, everyone go in the coolers, tornado warning, we need to go get under lockdown. But the customer was acting like it did not apply to him at all. He just did not. He was like, oh, so tornado warning, but I want the mashed potatoes. And I'm like, sir, we need to go into the cooler right now. It may not be a big deal to you, but this is what we have to do. And so I tried to lead him to the cooler, but I don't know where I lost him along the way. I don't know where he went.
There's 20 feet between where you would be and the cooler.
He bailed. I mean,
he literally left. Like he could not get his chicken strips, so he left.
Something similar happened to me when I worked at Hy-Vee. And it wasn't a tornado, but we did lose power. And as someone who's in a job like that, as like a cashier, that's the best thing ever. Because you can't leave, but you're still getting paid and you can't do anything. And it's just like, everyone's like, yes. All the managers, worst day ever for them. Because it's like, oh my God, there's so many alarms going off because our like backup generators are running out of power because it's been 2 hours. What do we do if all the food melts? Maybe we don't get power for like days. And I'm just like, I'm just standing at the register and I can't sell anything. This is great.
I remember this thing like they basically put paper over all of the cold sections of everything. Like, and you do not touch do not touch this freaking door. Just leave that door closed.
Yeah.
And then in the kitchen, it sucks too because like, oh, the salads we got to wrap these salads right now. It's like, okay, so you're supposed to keep the door closed as much as possible. So they kind of yell at us when we leave the door open just even for like a minute. But then it's like, no. You open that door only as long as it takes for you to get that salad out and then close it.
And I remember, like, my customers that day were the same way as yours. Whereas they come up and we obviously, like, the entire room, like, store, it's dark. Except for some reason, like, we have backup generators, or I guess they did, I don't work there anymore. They have backup generators for coolers. That makes sense. And freezers. For some reason, also, only the registers were on that. So I guess the theory was that you could still sell some goods. But I think that meant people thought that, like, oh, you're still operating. So people come up like, can I get, like, a number 12 skillet? I'm like, we have some warm toast. That's it. It's like, well, when can you make it? It's like, have you ever had a power outage? I don't know when it comes back on. Like, what do you want me to do? And people are so mad. Like, I get that it's like a really rare inconvenience, but come on, what do you want me to do? The power's out to the store.
Also, it's not part of where we are, but during the lockdown, cashiers have to go in the cooler too. So customers were coming up to us being like, are we supposed to like check our own stuff out now? Because there's no check stand open because we're all going under lockdown. So basically, people either have to leave their stuff and just go into the storm because they don't want to go in the coolers with us, or basically just stand in the aisle until, we come out. But because you can't make them like do anything.
In all fairness, like you've got to do it because it's store policy. Like, okay, we're in tornado warning. It is our obligation to keep you safe. We can't force you to do anything, but we have to do it. And also because we're being paid during this time, we can't be doing something stupid by being in the middle of the store while there may or may not be a tornado. But in all fairness, we live in Nebraska. We get, I mean, when was the last time a tornado touched down close to here?
That was last year at the end of the school year. Remember, because
It didn't touch down though.
Yeah, well, it was nearby.
I died nearby.
That was
all I have to say.
I'm looking forward to cutting out that silence.
All I have
Where
to
you just
say-
look at me like, anyway.
just like, and then we got the 7 Dragon Balls and we summoned the great.
All I gotta say is I tried to get the customers in the cooler, but some of them did not want to go.
That feels like that'd be the worst thing ever, to have customers in the cooler with you, though, and then just waiting.
Well, it's for safety, but it's also
I mean, I get that.
Well, also, it's kind of
awkward.
Well, not just like, oh, you're just standing in there. My thing would be working in the kitchen because, I mean, it's
messy.
It's messy in it's messy in the cooler
Yeah.
there. So, or the fridge. So it's like, oh yeah, this is where we keep a lot of the food that we make for you.
Oh my goodness! If this
That
would
would
have
be
happened,
bad.
if this would have happened when we had a whole like roasted pig that was left in the cooler, that was terrifying. We had like a whole pig.
I feel like we should clarify. It's like, it's healthy. It's not like you have like roaches or anything back there.
No.
It's just, there's just like silverware everywhere. Just everything's in a random bin.
No,
it's like
it's-
wherever people felt to put stuff.
It's not that. It's just naturally. I mean, it just looks messy because people put stuff in there.
Yeah,
in
my
messy
point is
ways.
it's not
But
like
it's not bad,
unsanitary.
Yeah, I
yeah.
was gonna say it looks
Yeah.
messy, not contaminated, or I guess that'd be a good way to put
Yeah,
it.
and like it's,
Germy.
yeah.
It's just unorganized. That's all it is. But I think it's fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't dislike having the job. It was a good 6 years I worked there. Now I got real job. But yeah, there's so many stories I'm sure that came out of that. And just because like we all worked there, Cole works there from last podcast. I don't know if you mentioned he's in the bakery.
That was a weird surprise last year. One of the breaks, because I guess our schedules just weren't lined up so we wouldn't see each other. But there was one day I was leaving, and all of a sudden I just see Cole there. I'm like, in the bakery. And like, wait, how long have you worked here? He's like, I've been here for like 3 months now. And I'm like, oh.
I guess the big thing to mention also is we met at Hy-Vee, Jamie and I. So
Yep.
yeah, that would be the big thing.
Wait, before we move on, you had another story of store or power going out that I feel like it's worse than the Hy-Vee one. It's the Camp Cedars. You want to talk about that one?
I think you should tell it. I remember it
Because
happening.
I wasn't there, so
You were
I
there.
can't talk. No.
Oh wait, no, the one I'm thinking of, you were there. The one she has, the Poic Pride one, you were there.
I was
Same
talking-
not storm, but when we were working.
No, when the year you were working, I think it was the first year, there was a power outage, and you had to like get all the cold stuff and like throw it in a truck.
Oh, that was different because that was we had power, like, it was out for a week. So it was like the next day, It was just, you had to move everything that was frozen solid with your bare hands into a cooler truck. And you just did that for like 4 hours. And you just take shifts basically going and warming up your hands. And it was terrible. Because I don't know what happened, but it's like we lost power. And for some reason, we couldn't get it back for like 4 days. And it was like the Hy-Vee thing where it's like we can't just lose our entire inventory of frozen stuff. That's costs too much. And we physically can't replace it for feeding campers. So that really sucked.
And it wasn't just like, some ice cream or something like this. It was like, it was the meat. It was all this other stuff.
That's specifically what I remember is freaking just like pounds and pounds of like giant frozen turkeys and just handing those off for like hours. And your hands are just like so cold, even like through any gloves you could find.
Yep.
And that sucked. But on a different note, I actually prepared, I'm not recording the screen this time, but I have Post-its up of all the stuff we thought to talk about. So my car is fucked, as I found out yesterday.
Is it because you don't take it in to get it checked?
Well, you said it was the shocks. The shocks I don't care about. I can live without the shocks.
So for a while, I knew that there was a problem with your like shocks and struts and stuff.
Just the shocks in the back.
Well, I knew something was with that, but
I know because I have the manifest. They told me everything's wrong. I'm not a savant to know that it was the back. They told me. I should clarify that. But you were right.
Mm-hmm. And so you have something like your radiator's leaking?
No, so I went in because my front left light was out. And I figured that out because I had to change my plates. And I went in and they're like, all your radiator tubes are leaking. And also both your front and back brakes are like in the last 5% of their life and could fail anytime. So you probably should not be driving this car. It's like, damn it.
Yeah. The brakes is a big deal.
Yeah. So I have to either buy a new car or it's like $2,000 to get it fixed, which I can do. But depending on how much it is to get a new car and how long this one will last, would be better to put the $2,000 into a new quote unquote new, I'd buy used car now. Or what I'm afraid is I don't want to replace it, put $2,000 in, and then I don't know, in 6 months, oh yeah, your transmission needs to be replaced. That's another couple thousand or something. That's what I'm afraid of.
My whole thing is, what's your price point of the newer car? Because I mean, your car is what, 2007?
Yeah. 2007 Hyundai Sonata.
Well, then how much would you be willing to pay? Because I know some things, because you have really low miles on your car compared to like my car. I have like 170 something in mine.
Yeah, actually, it was really nice when we got it because it was bought new by this old librarian that only drove it to work. So it was like pristine when we got it because that's all she did. She didn't use it for anything. It's like she would get in, go to work for 4 hours, come back home, and that was it. So it was completely clean. Everything was in good condition. I don't remember the mileage we had on it when we bought it, but yeah, it was always good. And I'm willing to fix it. It was just like, I don't really necessarily, I've never looked into actually buying cars. Oh, I was like 15 when we got that car.
I've looked at cars so many times, and
which one of the reasons is your car keeps getting wrecked through no fault of your own.
I have, knock on wood, not done anything to my car yet, but every time
it's no fault of your own.
Has been where someone smashes into my car when it's parked in front of your house.
Yeah,
that was my first incident where I'm parked in front of your house and a car, he smashes into it and tries to blame it on me, saying I tried to drive away from the curb when I was not even in my car.
No, he didn't. But I remember this because we were watching Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
And I remember we probably heard it because he like hit it and like pushed it up on the curve.
He pushed it up.
I remember we probably thought, man, that explosion's really good in this movie. It's like it's like the end of the movie when he's doing like the fucking surfing thing to go through the portal. It was that scene when it happened. So we probably totally heard it, but we just thought it was the movie. And I remember I went upstairs, like, go to the bathroom, and my dad's like, I think Jamie's car just got totaled. And I go tell you that. And you're just like, what?
Oh yeah, well I was like downstairs and I hear like, Jamie, come upstairs, and I'm like, oh my goodness,
Jamie's in trouble.
And I was like, well, I had no idea what was going on.
I remember what he told us is he had like his laundry in the passenger side and it like fell off, so he like reached over to get it and looked away and didn't see the car. But he's like, but you should probably park it in your driveway next time just in case. You know, it's like, how about fuck you, kid? Just like, it's an empty street and you hit the only car on the road.
Also, when we were going through insurance with it, he tried to actually put it on me. Like I had said, he tried to say that I was pulling away from the curb and I hit him. But for one thing, I was in your house. I mean, there's no way he could win that battle. Like, he tried to say that I was in the car driving it off. when everything was obviously like you pushed my car into the curb. Like you could not drive away because your car was lodged into mine.
My question is, did you take pictures?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
of like
still-
every vehicle where they were.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if there's like no other witnesses,
Oh, yeah,
there,
we
it'd be
took
like,
pictures
It'd just be your
instantly.
word versus his.
I mean, it's also he also like rear-ended her. It's like halfway
No,
up the
it
curb.
wasn't rear-ended. He hit my front end.
Oh no, yeah,
I
because he's
was-
coming the other way.
He was going the other way. He hit my driver's side on the front, and he like lodged it into my tire well, and could not get out. Like he could not pull away from it. I feel like he would have tried to drive away if he could, but
His car was fucked. It got towed away. Yeah,
And what's funny is also like we kept
your
that
car
car.
got fixed. Yeah, his.
We
did not.
actually fixed that car. So I still have my mom keeps that car, but we still have that car.
Really?
It's all fixed up. We used the insurance money to get my current car, which got rear-ended by someone else a few months back.
I did not know about this.
Yeah, I was like driving to my school. I was to teach, so it wasn't my school. And
It wasn't your school. It was
yeah,
the school you go to.
the school I go to teach. And so I'm in the off ramp turning right, and then all I feel is like this car smashed in the back of me, and I'm like, I have to teach in like 20 minutes, and I have to deal with this now. So that one actually got paid for by insurance as well.
I've never been pulled over. I'm pristine otherwise. So
I've never been pulled over
You're bad
yet.
luck.
I have been
My car's never been hit.
I've been pulled over once, and that was because it wasn't my car. It was my parents' car. I had to go pick up my brother, but the license plate sticker was out of date.
Ouch.
Oh.
So I didn't get a ticket though, because like they were just like, yeah, so your thing's out of date. You're not registered to the car, so I can't give you the ticket. Like, just tell your parents to get this done because otherwise they'll get the ticket next time. I'm like, okay, I'll make sure to tell them that, and I don't think they've had a problem.
I've been driving before where there's like a cop behind me, and then they instantly turn on their lights, and I thought they were pulling me over, but they're actually going around me to get someone else.
Before you do whatever you can do, remind me. Send me any photos you have of your red car when it got hit, and I'll put them up in the video.
I don't know if I still have
You
them
don't
on
have to
my
do it right
phone.
now, just later, and I'll throw them up if we can find any of them.
I have something similar to that. So this was back when the Amazing Spider-Man came out, the Andrew Garfield one. I know that like they're redoing. There's the new Spider-Man, and there were the others like 10 years ago, but this is the most recent Amazing Spider-Man, and so this was like 6 years ago, maybe,
Okay.
give or take. It was Alex, William, my brother, and I. We were going to, I think it was the 20 Grand, and at the intersection that is connected to Millard North, we were driving, and we were stopped at this red light. Then all of a sudden, I see flashing lights turn on behind me, and I'm like, oh, fuck, what did I do? Then I look, and there are 4 cars with lights behind me. Everyone stopped, by the way. And then I'm like, oh, shit. And then guys come out with, like, AR-15s and handguns. And I'm like, motherfucker, what the hell is happening? And it was a sting for a guy in the truck behind the car that was right behind me. And it was like this, they got him on the floor, and I just drove him like, okay. That was probably one of the most terrified moments of my life.
We had a sting at Hy-Vee once. I mean, if it's
Okay,
what I think
what?
of. Am I thinking of sting? What is it called when you set someone up?
Sting.
Sting, yeah. It was like they were going to send in a girl who was like 15 to buy cigarettes. But they knew it was coming. And the idea is like, oh, are you going to check her ID kind of thing?
Uh-huh.
And they knew it was coming. So despite it being like 6 o'clock, so like rush hour is really busy, they shut down everything but one register, which was just the manager checking people out. So whoever it was had to go through that. I don't know how they knew about it, but everyone's like, everyone take break. It's like, I already took break. Just take another break. I'm like, say no more. And I just remember it's like, it was absolutely, I'd never seen it happen again at that place, but yeah.
Wait. So it was busy, and they only had one person checking?
Yeah, because that way that person had to go through that register.
I know. I would just be livid if I was everyone
I know.
else.
It wasn't massive. It wasn't like 100 people. It was just like, it was a really long line. Or other people were just like, I'll just keep shopping, is usually what happens.
I'm so glad I don't work up front anymore.
There are times that it amazes me how people with so few things take forever in a fucking grocery store line getting checked out. I don't understand it. It's like there'll be 5 people in one line. Each person has like 12 items at least. Then there'll be 2 people in one line who have like 6 items each. And that line will still take longer than the 5 with twice the items.
Slow cashiers.
No, because like the cashiers can only work as fast as the people is like oh, it's like, oh yeah, you're having trouble with the card. Okay, here, yeah, you make that phone call, or it's like, yeah, are you sure you're putting the combination right? No, okay, it's like, sure, you sure you're doing, because it says like credit and you're trying to put in your debit card thing or whatever. It's like there's just people that just I don't know. It's just they somehow like checking things out at a store is really easy, but some people it's just really hard for them.
Yeah, I know. Like sometimes people just like wouldn't accept what was happening. Like I know like the worst thing ever was if a card gets like declined because they like argue with it about it, like it shouldn't be declined. It's like, dude, I just read what the machine says. I don't know why. I don't know your life story. I just assume like, oh, maybe you. There's a bunch of dumb rules with credit cards, I guess. Like one time we always ran into this issue where I guess you can't make 2 purchases in a row in a certain time frame that are the exact same amount. Because that's like a way to get around credit card fraud is you buy like several small purchases instead of like one big one. Mm-hmm. And you'd always get on dumb stuff like, oh, I bought a little Pepsi. And then like, oh, I should get one for my husband too. I'll buy another one. And then declined. And they're like, why is it declined? It's $2. You know, it's like, I don't know. And I know this now because the manager was able to tell me why it's happened. But yeah, it makes no sense. The customer's like, it can't be declined. Like, just accept it. It's like, I don't have that power. What do you want me to do? I'm sorry. I just read the machine.
It's like, here, let me just get my hacking computer out and like hack the mainframe of whatever controls. I actually have no idea what controls the credit card.
Yeah.
Like electrical system. Like I don't know.
It's not part of that system, but I'm thinking of when one time, it's usually when people don't want an item and so they give it to you. Well, I remember one time a customer had like, you know those blocks of cheese, like those cheese chunks that have like plastic around them that you can buy and then you like cut it yourself? It's about this big. I had a customer where they had like a baby and the baby was chewing on that cheese block the whole time. So the cheese had teeth marks all on it. And then when she got to my lane, she came up and she was like, I don't want this. And I'm like, well, we can't sell it. There's like teeth, like it didn't cut through the plastic, but there were teeth marks all on this. And it's like, thank you, ma'am.
There's this great video GIF, something I can't remember what I loved seeing. And all it is, it's like someone recording their kids at a soccer game. And on the other side of the field is a larger woman in a lawn chair. And you see she's like fumbling with something in her purse. And he zooms in on her and she pulls out like a giant block of Kraft cheese and just bites down on it with like a giant, just like, and just goes to town eating this block of cheese as a snack. And you just hear, he's just like, oh Jesus! Something's like cheese. Like you just can't believe it. It's like what? Like you can tell like he gave up filming the kids and just.
I also love that. I don't know if it's like a video or the gif of the kid with the ice cream. He rubs it on his forehead.
Is it like a baby?
No, he's like eating.
Hold the thought. We can find it.
And like he rubs it on his forehead, and it's just funny.
You can't just watch me do this, guys. We gotta work on this.
I'm just curious what you're typing in here.
Ice cream.
Ice cream? What about ice cream?
It's gonna be on his forehead.
Well, you said it's all over the place.
I'm gonna have to loop this in though. I think I don't even know how to do GIFs. I might have to be really dumb and like record my screen. I think I can put GIFs in the video, but I don't know how that works.
You have to have seen this.
Oh, is that like a football game? Or
I don't know, but
I've never seen this. I've never seen this extended cut. There's another one where he does it for the first time, and he's just like, and he's like,
he's like, man, it's hot.
You can tell him like making the conclusion like, the ice cream's cold, my forehead's hot. Just rub it. But on our next topic, so Jamie was over on Monday, and I was like working on the last Dead Rising Shop to drop, and she's like over on her phone because Jamie does this thing where she'll go from her laptop and like da-da-da, and then she'll get like a text, so she'll put her laptop away and go to her phone, and then just browse on her phone. And I look over, and we have this awesome giant couch, right? And Jamie's like literally huddled in this corner like this. I can't do it, just like facing the wall, reading her phone. It's like, it was like Gollum, just like with the ring.
I do that a lot, and I've done that.
And just like in the corner.
I've done that since like childhood. Well, not with my phone, but like with a Game Boy or something. Because like, I'll just curl up and play it because my family will always come over and try to talk to me, and it's like, what you doing? And it's like,
You make it tame. You were not sitting. You were like full on like leaning over.
oh, wait, well, my stomach was hurting too.
Yeah. But I just remember I look over and like, what? Because like I'm editing in the corner there. I look over and like, what are you doing? I should have grabbed a picture if I need to get better at doing that so I can have stuff to throw up if we talk about it on the podcast.
Turtles.
That's really good.
Turtles. We just like it raw. Wiggling.
That's really good.
Jamie and I always quote, there's this video from Lord of the Rings where it's a remix of Samwise Gamgee saying taters, boil them, smash them, stick them in the stew. Yeah. We always quote that. I don't know why. I guess
That's the same scene.
Yeah.
but-
I always
potatoes always come up in a conversation.
I will always, whenever I think of Lord of the Rings, I still think of when we would babysit my cousin, and we would he would only want to watch the fight scenes, but so we would watch the same fight scene for 3 hours, not the whole movie, just that fight scene, and it was the one specific one with like, where he like goes on the back of the elephant thing.
Lord,
And, like, he
Return of the
cuts-
King.
Return of the
Yeah.
King.
Yeah.
What do they call those elephants?
I have no idea.
I don't think they just call them war elephants. I think they had like a weird name.
But I
They had a
just,
name, yeah.
I remember that scene because I watched it for quite a few hours in a row
Just on loop.
on loop.
It's a long fight. So,
It's a long fight, but I mean, I've watched it enough.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Is that it said that it's a long fight, but I don't think they're in the fight the entire time. I think they cut to different
I
parts.
mean, he does. We watched other fights from that, like the movies, but I remember the elephant one in particular because I don't know what it is, but he wanted to like rewind it a lot. And just that one part when he fought everyone, and then he cut the rope thing, and then
It fell out.
Yeah.
When Legolas goes up there and beats his little majestic elf Aryan boy.
Your cousin graduates this weekend.
he
Or
actually
has
graduated already on Monday.
The same one? Mm-hmm. Oh.
My
Congrats.
baby cousin.
You did not die from you babysitting him. It's easy, I guess,
Him
when you
and
can just
I-
park in front of the TV.
Graduating him from
High
what?
school.
High school.
Oh.
They look like the same person.
If I cut my hair like a guy, he would look like me. Can you attest? Can you agree with that?
Yeah, I could see that. I'm not going to put a picture up.
I have a picture
of him
from like
for the
my first
podcast,
year of
but-
college when I still had braces, and he had braces, and I had my hair blonder than it is now. We looked like siblings, and Ashley looked like the cousin. Like,
Ashley being your sister.
yeah, Ashley being my sister. She looked like, I don't know, like our cousin, and then he looked like my brother, but it was funny.
My brother, my mother, and I went out to eat last night, and I, to be fair, I kind of fell behind in shaving, so I had more facial hair than I usually have, and my brother definitely has that beard. And we went out to eat, and one of the workers there asked if we were twins, and I'm like,
Oh, wow.
no, there's like a good 4-year difference on us, but I can see where you're getting at. It's just a weird thing when people think we're twins. I'm like, maybe, goddamn, not identical. What is it? Fraternal. Like maybe fraternal. I guess you could say we're not, identical. Like there's a good height difference between us. He's definitely more freckly than I am.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just like, yeah, no, we're not twins.
I can see that. Like my sister and I look alike, but I remember one of our friends said that when we smile, we have the same gums. Like our smile's the same, and I don't know about that. It was funny. But literally, I remember someone saying, "You guys have the same gums." And I'm like, what does that mean?
Were they also like a serial killer?
No.
That's like really specific to notice.
It was weird, but I think she meant we have the same smile.
I would say, yeah, because smiling, okay, but I would argue that most people don't show a lot of their gums when they smile. And if, like, for me, like, I don't think I smile with my lips open at all. I'm pretty sure I don't.
Really?
I think it was back when I had braces and I just decided not to do it. A lot of the time, if I recall correctly, it was kind of, especially during the fall and winter when it would be dry.
Oh yeah.
My lips would, when they would go over that, they would crack and bleed. So I just learned to smile without showing my teeth.
Does that still happen to you? I feel like that's something that happened to me all the time as a kid. Like even before braces, like just like chapped lips. I feel like that's a problem I've just grown out of. Is that it's like happened once or twice, but
It's happened to me. It happens to me every so often, but not.
it seems like as a kid it was a big problem that it would happen like every day. And it's like, oh, you need chapstick. Now I can't think of the last time that's happened.
Well,
Maybe once last summer.
Sorry. I mean, like, I have dry skin in general, so I will always have that problem. But when you're a girl and you use, like, lip products, sometimes it'll dry you out. Like, if you use, like, a lipstick or something, or it's just, like, lip color, it'll dry it out, so I'll have to use chapstick more.
My microphone just fell off.
That was smooth.
I'm looking forward to seeing that clip because it just literally fell in my lap.
I don't know, because is it absorbent?
What? Lipstick?
Well, whatever that dries out your lips.
Well, I have dry skin in general, but, like, sometimes if you use, like, a liquid matte lipstick, like a matte lipstick, it doesn't have gloss, so it just is dry because of, you know.
It's porous.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it's
And
matte
That's
compared
also,
to
I think that's a reason.
gloss.
Another, if I butcher the science, apologize. But also, like, if you have dry lips, one thing they don't recommend is just, like, licking your lips.
That's what my parents always said.
Because of osmosis. That would actually dry your lips out more as soon as, because it would, the water that was in your lips would want to join the water that you put on the outside of your lips. So you would, as soon as that dries, your lips are...
And your mouth is kind of acidic anyway, right? So
Other way. It's basic.
basic.
Burn.
Your saliva is more basic. Because your stomach acid is acidic.
Oh yeah.
So your mucus and other mouth fluids are more basic.
Hot. One of the things that, as part of this test thing, is I got to figure out what genre to put this podcast in. And obviously the first one has a big gaming focus. Now we're talking about makeup and health, and that's way different.
And gums.
Gums.
And customers.
Customers. I don't know if do they have a Hy-Vee/gum/eating cheese genre on iTunes.
I think you could really capitalize on something.
Yeah. It's actually really annoying. So
No.
I listen to a lot of podcasts, and to cram that in, like when I work, I listen to them at like increasing speeds. Like I'm up to like twice speed. I listen to just like double.
I don't
You
know
get
how
used to
do
it.
that.
But now I go listen to like our podcast, and I don't do that because I have to edit, and it sounds like we're taking forever to talk. Because we go to listen when I work, and everyone's like, blah. It's like just really fast, but it's awesome. Listen to like 4 podcasts in an hour.
That's
Totally right. The thing is, all the time, like I'll listen to them like when I'm like playing stuff because my computer's like next to my Xbox. And all the time I'm like, that's weird. This one, it must have turned off. And I look, it's still at like 1.8 times speed. It's normal to me now. I've gone like Super Saiyan on the listening to podcasts. It's like, this is my new level.
it's not even my final form.
It's not. This is not even my final speed. Come a year, it's just going to be like 3. I'm just going to read the waveform. It's going to be perfect.
I never really listen to podcasts.
Well, now you can. You're on one.
Yeah.
Would you listen to a podcast if you're in it?
I don't like my voice, like, in general when I listen back at it.
You get used to it like that.
I've had to, like, film myself doing a lesson or two, and you have to watch it with your advisor, your professor. Basically, like, what did you do well and what didn't you do? And it's like, I really hate this because my voice is just like nails on a chalkboard.
There's 2 reasons for that. One, first, their mics always suck. Like these are directional mics. Like this picks you up really well. Whereas like your phone or like a tablet, that's just area mic, so it just gets everything, and it sounds super tinny. 2, the reason your voice sounds better to you than hearing it back is you hear your voice like through your cheekbones, so it sounds like richer. But when you hear it like outside, it's all like higher pitched and it doesn't sound as full and stuff. But you just eventually, like, I mean, I'm sure I went through that phase, but now it's like, I mean, if I can't listen to my stuff, why would I expect anyone else to? You just get over it and you can get better at it. My thing now is I try to transcribe my videos, like type it out, and I just notice all like the ticks I have to like pause, especially with Dead Rising Chopped You Drop, because it's really hard to have a conversation with yourself basically and keep that line of thought going when you get attacked by zombies.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of,
Poodles.
basically. A lot of just like goddams thrown in there. So, did you have a point? Oh, I go to you like right as you take a sip of water.
To have a point. Oh, I was gonna say I generally don't like listening to myself, and for instance, when you would kind of post the D&D ones, I didn't like listening to myself, but that was kind of just I don't know why. It was a lot easier to me to listen to the podcast from last week for I think
Yeah, you were good on that one.
mainly because I liked what was being discussed. So I was kind of able to look over that, but also the way bothers me so much. That does bother me. And it's annoying because I don't know if you remember this, but when I was born, I was tongue-tied.
Oh wait, did you have to go to speech path?
Yes.
I did too. I had. Did you have to like problem with your R's and W's?
Like R's, T's, TH's, S's, and then I got to the point, and I guess I just I finally got the point where I could do S as well, but then I overcompensated, and now it's like I'm fucking Slytherin that knows parcel tongue or something.
Was there any particular words you couldn't pronounce? I know in my German class, one thing I always found entertaining is Germans have a really hard time with the word squirrel. But more specifically, there was a girl in my class who could not pronounce penguin. And just for some reason she just couldn't do that word. She'd do like pen. She could do like gwyn. She couldn't say penguin. She said penguin. Penguin. It was like super it sounded like she was putting it on, but she's like, no, I legitimately can't say it. I don't know why that always got me. Penguin. It's
So you're saying that were the words I had trouble...
was thesaurus like the worst word ever?
I don't know how many times I said thesaurus. It's hard for me now.
It was hard for me. I was like thinking it in my mind, like, I can't mess this up. Otherwise, I just screw myself.
I was going to say, I don't know how many times I said thesaurus when I had the problems. So, I mean, I don't know if I even ever said it when I had them, because that was like first grade. Mm-hmm. And I'm not... how many kids do you hear going around school when they're like 7 or 6 going like, yeah... You know how hard it's hard for me to speak of when I'm reading all the time? Like, what do you look that up? Like, in the thesaurus. It's like...
That's true.
Look, it's so beautiful. But you said, like, words I had trouble speaking. So, when I was in preschool, my dad introduced me to Star Wars.
Probably a very unimportant moment in your life.
I loved Star Wars so much. And I wouldn't stop fucking talking about it. And the preschool I went to was called Oak Valley. I don't even know if it's still a school anymore, but it was essentially for kids with disabilities. I was kind of put in there as like, oh, I don't have a mental disability, but I do have kind of a speech impediment. So therefore, like you go in and like deal with the other kids. And so like you don't get made fun of for your speaking, but you also don't have psychological issues. So, that's all a big deal. But I came in one day and I was talking to the teachers about, man, I just love Star Wars so much. And and boy, did they have a word for my mother that day. And she was like, no. Wasn't a porno or anything. Like, at least I assume she used those words because I didn't know what porno was. And he's like, no, he's saying Star Wars. I swear. He just can't pronounce it.
That's funny.
And I guess to me it was funny because when I was saying Star Wars, I thought I was saying Star Horse, like Gallop.
I would see that movie.
And I don't understand why people are upset. That it sounds like I'm saying this other word. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, that's not the word they thought I was saying.
I understand that because I also had like trouble with R's, so I couldn't say world. I'd be wold. I could not say R's or anything, so I took speech for a lot of years. And my first major was actually speech path, so I was actually almost a full year into that before I changed into my current one, which is elementary. And
now were you physically tongue-tied?
When I was born, I couldn't use a bottle, so I couldn't really use a bottle very well because my tongue was weird.
Yeah, so you had to have surgery.
Yeah.
Same here.
I remember I have a story kind of like with the Star Whores, but it was in was in first grade too, and we had show and tell, and I had a marionette puppet, and I brought my marionette puppet to school, and when it was my turn to share, I was like, my parents got me marijuana, and so my teacher was like, what? And I was like, my parents got me marijuana, so I got my marionette, pulled it out of the bag, and she's like, oh. And it was funny because that week was also, I think, parent-teacher night. So she went up to my parents and was like, so I heard you got Jamie some marijuana. And then they finally like, oh, yeah, and the marionette. But so.
I know when I was camp counselor, what that would occasionally come up. And what's great is kids don't pay attention anyway. So usually the other kids didn't pick it up. Like I taught at Hummel, like wilderness skills. And a little thing you would teach is like northeast, south, and west. Like, never eat soggy waffles. That's the one everyone goes to. Do you know any other variations for that?
You told me about one.
I know what west has to do.
Yeah. There's other ones that's like, never enter Santa's workshop. That was the second biggest one. And then there was one kid ever that was like, my mom says it stands for never ever smoke weed. And these are like first graders that came in, and this one said it, and it was like, what? It's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's nothing. But I remember all the counselors like looked at each other like, what is this first grader just talking about right now?
Good life lesson, but
yeah. Yeah. So I think we're at time. So do you guys have any, like, a Twitter handle you want to plug? You're on private.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you to change that eventually so people can tweet you.
Well,
I'll throw mine up because
what?
Mine's on private.
What does that mean?
Basically you have to ask to follow her and she accepts it. Whereas like mine, anyone can follow me.
I didn't know that was a thing. I thought you could only block people. No. Like that was the only.
It just makes it so people can't like follow you if you don't want to or retweet.
But I mean, generally, if you're on Twitter, most people don't use it, depending on what you do with Twitter, because the point is for people to follow you.
Right. Okay.
But if you use it more like a Facebook, like Messenger, that's useful.
Like, I don't use Twitter.
You have a Twitter, don't you?
I know at least I used to.
It still has like the egg icon. I remember that. You never changed.
It's because I had it and then I forgot about it and then it was.
I tweet all the time, and one of my favorite things to do when I'm bored is I read my own Twitter feed because it's hilarious to me.
So you're laughing at your own jokes.
Yeah, like I just tweeted the other day that's like, remember, you're an adult. You can go to McDonald's Play Place anytime you want to. I find that hilarious. I don't know why that gets me. I'm just like, yeah.
Are you allowed to? Like,
I don't know, but the point is, fucking 5-year-old me would love that.
Oh.
And it was just like a thought. But
okay.
Anyway, my point was, I'll throw mine up on the screen. I don't know if you had anything like that.
I might.
But in the future, it's mainly like, oh, that's something I want to include in the outro if it's relevant to you. Or like, obviously, I got my YouTube channel, which this is on. I got my Twitter handle, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm still trying to feel out how I want to close these. Maybe I'll just like hard cut it. I don't know. But yeah, what do you guys think? I felt one really good. You like these mics?
Yeah.
These are, I don't know if we mentioned it's intimidating because I got pop filters from too. And it makes them so much bigger in your face.
I feel like at times it's way too close. So I'm like, I'm probably really loud.
Until I actually see how they sound, I'm afraid that either they're going to muffle them too much, or what I'm more afraid of is I'm going to have to go into the audio and I'm just going to hear myself breathing into it and have to cut that out for everyone.
You don't want to be the creepy breathing in the background, just like...
We can make Star Whores and we'll just use that audio in the background.
You get a block of cheese, you chew on it.
And then the kid with the ice cream, he's just in the background wiping it on his forehead.